All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 52 of the Yellow Card Podcast, presented to you by the Couch Guy Sports Network. Go out and use Google, whatever search engine you use, type in Couch Guy Sports, and we should be the very first link that pops up. Or just go to couchguysports.com, check out all the blogs, all the podcasts, the store, everything else in between. Tonight's episode is presented to you as well by the Couch Guy Sports store, couchguysportshop.com. Make sure you check it out one time. With the fall and winter season coming across very quickly, especially here in the U.S., make sure you get yourself some hoodies, some joggers, get yourself comfortable so that when you're sitting on a sofa, you're comfortable and supporting a small business like Couch Guy Sports out of Boston. Lot to talk about today. Week one of the Champions League has already come and gone. We got a lot of surprises there. But first off, allow me to introduce the crew real quick. As always, your host, Diego Galvez. That's me, unfortunately. And then you got Andrew Fasciano, the Everton or Magic fella that you're looking at on YouTube. If you listen to us on Spotify, you'll recognize his voice. And the guy with a milestone in his life. Congratulations. Some things are changing for you, Jones. Congratulations. The one and only Chris Jones, as he sits on a warm piss on a bucket. I mean, high noon seltzers. I'm sorry. Jones, how you feeling tonight, sir?
High noon vodka soda, real juice. Very good, very good. I'm all right. I'm all right. The milestone. I mean, when we're talking milestones here, you make it seem like I'm getting married or something like that. So not the case at all.
No, but one step closer.
Well, we'll see.
Two steps closer. We'll
see. We'll see. But yeah, no, let's fucking dive right into it. Also, real quick.
Yes.
Oh, no, Diego already did it. Never mind. I was gonna say we're brought to you by the Couch Guy Sports Shop. But we'll do it again.
We are.
CouchGuySportsShop.com. Go get your Couch Guy gear. Trust me. Big things coming in that shop soon. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. And make sure that you use the discount codes that pop up on the website as well. We're taking care of you. Please support us. Take care of us. We'll continue to bring you more content on a weekly basis. But like I said, first and foremost, we had the Champions League come up this week. What a surprise in week one, considering that I think everything that we thought less possible would happen, happened. And not in a very good way to start off week one of the Champions League for the fellas, but we'll bounce back. In addition to that, we got some additional topics for you tonight. One is a very local topic for us, the Yellow Card Boys, and it's in regards to the Revolution. So stay tuned for that. It's coming by. And we'll talk about the Premier League after, a few games have gone in, what our thoughts are and whatnot. But we're going to get started immediately. So let's get started with the UEFA Champions League. Week one, scores, how we did. And each of us are going to pick our number one surprise of this week. All right. So, Jones, why don't you get us started? I know you've been keeping track of our record for this new campaign, the 2021-2022 season. So let's get you started.
All right. So we have a tie for first place, fellas. Tie for first place. Myself and Andrew.
Love it.
Jones,
the host already sucks.
Jones and Andrew with a whopping 500 record of 8-8. Fasciano, the classic 500 band. We're 8-8. Diego not far behind, 7-9. The one thing I'll give Diego credit for, the one thing I'll give you credit for is you were right. In a sense, there were 5 draws in the group stage, which you picked 5 draws, just 2 out of the 5 of yours hit.
Oh.
So I'll give you credit where credit is due. So
already with this devastating blow.
Let's recap, shall we? Sevilla and Salzburg drew. All of us had Sevilla winning, so that. Young Boys beat Manchester United due to the red card that Aaron Wan-Bissaka got. I had them winning 2-1. I thought Young Boys would keep it close, so flip that around. I would have been right. Diego had him at 3-0. Fasciano had him at 4-0. Diego got the draw between Lyle, how do you say it?
Lyle, you're right.
Lyle and Wolfsburg. Both Andrew and I had Wolfsburg winning. Then Villarreal drew with Atalanta. I had Villarreal winning. Diego had Atalanta winning. And Fasciano had the direct 2-2 draw, which that was the final score. So round of applause for Andrew here. Chelsea barely beat Zenit, 1-0. We all had Chelsea. Andrew had it a little bit closer than Diego and I did, but nonetheless. Juventus wins 3-0. Diego got it right with the 3-0 call there. Bayern Munich beats Barcelona. Both Andrew and I had Bayern Munich winning. Diego had the draw in that game. Andrew had Barcelona keeping it close. It wasn't. It's Ronald Koeman is a dumpster fire, to say the least. Then we had Dino and Benfica. Diego and I both had Benfica winning. Andrew had Dynamo winning. Neither of that happened. Borussia Dortmund beat Besiktas 2-1. Andrew had them at Dortmund winning 2-1 exactly, so round of applause for him. Sheriff beat Shakhtar Donetsk. I had Shakhtar winning. Diego had a draw. And Andrew, round of applause for Andrew here, who had Sheriff winning. I think that was the biggest surprise of the week, was Andrew picking Sheriff to win a game.
The darlings of the Champions League this year.
Agreed. And then Real Madrid beat Inter Milan 1-0. Diego was the only one who had Real Madrid to win, as Andrew and I both had the draw. Atletico and Porto. Diego and I both had the draw in that game, and Andrew had Atletico sneaking out a win. Club Brugge and PSG tying 1-1. We all had PSG winning very comfortably. That did not happen. Liverpool and AC Milan. Liverpool winning 3-2. I had Liverpool winning 2-1. Diego had AC Milan winning 2-1, and Andrew had a 2-2 draw, which it looked like it was going to be that at one point. We all had Manchester City winning over RB Leipzig, which happened 6-3. And then Andrew and I, and this is why we are 8-8, Diego 7-9, had Ajax beating Sporting. Both Andrew and I had a 2-1 score. Ajax whipped them 5-1. Diego had a 1-1 draw there. So those are our records. So I'll start off with my surprise of the week. I think my surprise of the week, personally, is PSG. I think them playing to the level of Club Brugge, I think, is going to be very catastrophic for their Champions League run here. I mean, let's look at the starting lineup. Neymar, Mbappe, Lionel Messi, Wijnaldum, Paredes. You had Angel Herrera, Diallo, Kimpembe, Marquinhos, Hakimi, and Navas. Again, what are we doing here? How are you not scoring more than one goal with that lineup against Club Brugge? And their 4-4-1-1 formation, how are you not scoring? I know it was a very defensive heavy. We're having 8 in the back, in a sense, with 2 attacking up front. But at the same time, you have 3 of the best 10 in the world, and Neymar, Mbappe, and Lionel Messi there. And then you have a probably the best right back in the world in Hakimi. Wijnaldum is easily a top 5, top 10 center mid in the world as well. What are we doing here? And I have a bone to pick with Pochettino. Why are we not playing my boy Gianluigi Donnarumma? What is the deal here? Keylor Navas should not be playing for this team. Give the keys to Donnarumma, and trust me when I tell you, you will be lucky that you even got to sniff him, because you shouldn't even have him. You don't even deserve the greatness that Gianluigi Donnarumma has around him. Disrespectful.
All right, over to you, Andrew. Surprise of the week.
I was gonna pick that same game, but I feel like Chris covered it pretty well. So I don't have a whole lot to add to that. So instead, I'll switch things up and go with Sheriff against Shakhtar Donetsk, just because, I mean, first ever Moldovan team to get to this point in the Champions League. It's about the most perfect dream start that they could have hoped for, I think, to win at home in front of their fans and keep a clean sheet as well. I think sort of regardless of how they fare in the rest of the group stage, they've left a positive impression on Champions League viewers because they were able to get this opening win. So I'm sure that they'll be very happy with that, and maybe they'll even be able to build on it and keep the run going. I also think we talked about this last time, but I think the two players who are impersonators of Premier League players with Cristiano and Adama Traore were both heavily involved. So I like that. Cristiano had 2 assists from left back and Adama Traore scored a goal. So the Premier League guys or pretend Premier League guys in there came up big, and it's a huge win for a team like that not only has never been in the Champions League, but a team from their country has never been at this point in the Champions League. So big win, and it's probably one that fans of FC Sheriff and just soccer fans in Moldova in general are going to remember for a long time to come, regardless of what happens in the rest of the group stage.
All right. Yeah, I really like that Sheriff team. It's got a variation of different backgrounds. I mean, you see people from Romania and a bunch of different backgrounds that you don't normally see in a lot of teams, especially in the Champions League. So I thought that was a pretty good team to watch. I think they are definitely going to be the major surprise this year for the Champions League. I stand by my previous comment that they're going to be the Gladbach of last year. I really think they're gonna be it this year too. I think for me, there's a couple of surprises. Hang on, sorry, I'm just trying to find the correct quote that I was trying to see. But there's a couple of surprises for me. Number one, Chelsea versus in it. Only a 1-0 score. Chelsea, with a very dominant team and very young team, struggled to get past the wall built by Zenit of a 5-4-1 formation. When you are formed in a 3-4-2-1 formation, all you are expecting to do is have a lot of creativity in your midfield for a pass and go kind of game, especially when you're facing this type of wall. The fact that they only got one past that, to me, it was surprising. It tells me that maybe there is a huge need for Pulisic to be involved more often in Champions League play, because Mason Mount and Ziyech just didn't have that chemistry going for creativity purposes. It tells me as well that maybe the correct formula there is Pulisic and Kai Havertz to develop that attack. But it's also concerning that in your 4 part of your lineup, it's surprising to me that you have Reece James and Marcos Alonso in your 4 part of the lineup, when really you could have used a midfielder to make it look more like you were actually in a 4-3-3 formation, but really actually 3-4-2-1 formation. So that was a surprise to me. Obviously, the young boys versus Manchester United thing was a surprise for me as well. It all came down to discipline and a lack of management creativity there. You saw your number 1 defender in Aaron Wan-Bissaka go out at the 35th minute early in the game. You replaced him with Diogo Dalot. I think that was a great replacement there. However, the calls after that were really, really, really questionable. Taking out Cristiano Ronaldo in a part of the game where he was starting to create chances to then be able to transfer the game around, probably the single stupidest thing to have done. Bringing in Jesse Lingard to set him up at a moment where he could fail, and he failed miserably. I think that was just plain stupidity and a lack of good management there. And I think too that putting Fred in was kind of silly as well, because in this game you've lost a defender. What you really, really needed there was an immediate central defensive mid or an additional defender. You didn't bring that. You brought in what's his name? Good God, what was the substitution for Fred? Oh God. Oh, you brought in Anthony Martial, which at that point I'm just like, why? why you just gave away the game because you just slowed down every single bit of pace that Manchester United was building to turn the game around. But to me, another special shout out that I want to give in this week one of the Champions League is to no other than Manchester City's Nathan Ake. The guy had a fantastic game to open up the Champions League. Unfortunately, he dealt with a personal issue of a family member passing away while he was at the game. He had a phenomenal performance, but it's obviously just very saddening to see that, one of his family members passed away. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was his dad that passed away, but I could be completely wrong. Either way, whoever it was that the family member passed away, may God keep him in peace and give him that comfort that this person deserves. And nothing but respect for Nathan Ake. We might be rivals or whatever, but the game is far more than that. So moving on from week one, any additional thoughts, any hot takes, any cold takes that we got here?
So just looking at the standings and what they look like right now, if my computer would load and stuff like that, I understand, we still have 5 more match days and stuff like that, but I had a hot take and I wanted to address it. I can't remember what it was. Hold on. Let me look at it. One obvious hot take here is, it's not really hot because it happens every time. It's Inter Milan. There's no Inter Milan is moving on in the Champions League here. This happens every year. They got into this group last year, and at the same time, basically replaced Sheriff with Gladbach. It's the same group from last year, and they finished third. So I'm not sold on them at all. And I think, to be quite frank with you, I am going to say I think that there might be a chance that if PSG doesn't clean their act up, they could easily be on the outside looking
in. Okay. Andrew, any hot takes?
I would say what you just said about PSG also applies to Barcelona at this point. I'd say they probably have a little bit of a more favorable group on paper, maybe, but they have not looked good recently at all. They struggled again today, I think, in the league. They drew with Granada and were trailing late in that game and needed to find an equalizer, which they did. So they need to figure things out quickly to get back on track. They probably got the one of the 2 hardest games in their group out of the way already. So in theory, they should have an easier time against Dynamo Kiev and Benfica, but they haven't looked good. And I think it just doesn't look good with that quote from Ronald Koeman that's been going around where it was like, this club has a future because of me. And then you go out and get smacked in the Champions League and haven't won since.
I knew that was coming.
They need to figure something out. Chris is raising his hand. What do you have to add?
This is also the same team that needed a tying goal to draw with Granada in Champions League. But no, I agree with you. But again, Andrew, Diego and I have told you this, and you have to trust us with this right here. Barcelona can already chalk up another loss because they're going to lose to Bayern Munich again. That's good. Think of it like this: Benfica is not a walk in the park for them. Benfica is a tough team. We saw it in their matchup against Dynamo, and Dynamo is a tough team too. I agree with you here. I think Barcelona could be on the outside looking in. We could be seeing Barcelona run the Europa League for all we know for the rest of the year, which would be a wild thing to think about. When's the last time that Barcelona even sniffed the Europa League? I want to figure that out right now.
I couldn't even tell you. And I don't think it would be too crazy to say that they probably might not even be the favorites to win it if they were in it. No, hypothetically,
definitely not.
So
definitely
they're not in the best of times right now.
Listen, not for nothing. If they just fire Coleman and do the old Chelsea approach, they might win the Champions League. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Oh God,
Diego like that one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Well, I'm gonna give my prediction here, and I think Juventus actually is gonna have a run deep this a deep run this year. Um, really was happy with what I saw from their center four formation of Quadrado, Betancourt, Locatelli, and Raviot. I think Locatelli was a excellent blend there with Quadrado and Raviot. He was distributing the ball very well, very nicely for that team. In fact, he put in a couple of chances there for Paulo Dybala and Alvaro Morata. Uh, he was sensational to watch. But I also like the way that Allegri is coaching this team. Yeah, they they're struggling in their domestic league without Ronaldo. Yeah, that is what it is. But the mentality was cleared when it came to Champions League, and Allegri was just in a perfect position to just be like, guys, this is an opportunity for us to shift focus and do what we need to do here to take care of things. And they absolutely did it. Chesney was real good, was solid in the back of the net. The lead, Bonucci, Danilo, they did really good defensively. Alessandro just continues to be Alexandro. Quadrado was phenomenal to watch as well. He did the job to perfection. I love what I saw out of Weston McKennie when he came in as well. I think McKennie will probably be transferred this year. Unfortunately, that's another loss that Juventus will probably take, and that will be a hard one to replace. But I also like what I saw out of Moise Kean as well. He came into the match and just did his thing. He looked solid. I really like what Moise Kean has to offer. I think sucks that he's not at Everton. Sorry, Andrew. Hate to remind you. But the dude's doing well in this Juventus team, man. I think for Juventus, it will be very important for them to be active come January transfer window. It would be a priority for Allegri to get nice young talent that could be either a creative midfielder or an additional attacker. That way, he doesn't have to fully put his eggs on Morata and Dybala. He has additional options. But I think Juventus will probably be in the round of 8 for the Champions League this year.
I like that. And the last time that Barcelona was not in the Champions League is actually the last year that they didn't have Lionel Messi. Before they had Lionel Messi. So 2003, 2004, where they finished second. They brought in Ronaldinho. He helped them finish second in the table, and then they were in the Champions League the next season. But yeah, so it shows how long it's been since we had Barcelona not in the Champions League, because Lionel Messi never even sniffed the Europa League with that team.
Wow.
So yeah,
there you go.
All right, so that does it for the Champions League. Now let's move over to another league that's been really exciting to watch, and that is the Premier League. We are, I think 5 games in. Yeah,
we're 5 match days in. Yep.
Yeah, we're 5 match days in, and the top 5 looks like this, which I'm sure it'll change eventually. But top 5 looks like this.
How we all had it, you know.
You're looking at Chelsea with a 4-1 record, 13 points. Liverpool, same record, 4-1, 13 points. United, 4-1, 13 points. Brighton, 4-0-1, 12 points. And Manchester City in 5th, 3-1-1 record, 10 points. Everton in 6th, 3-1-1, 10 points. Tottenham, 3-0.
Hold on. Round of applause for Everton being in 6th. I want to remember because it won't be long. I know.
Wow, here we go, and it begins. So I'm just gonna read the table real quick. So Tottenham 3-0-2, 9 points, 7th place. West Ham 8th place, 2-2-1, 8 points. Brentford 2-2-1, 8 points. Aston Villa 10th place, 2-1-2, 7 points. Watford, you're looking at 11, 2-0-3, 6 points. Leicester City, 12th, 2-0-3, 6 points. Arsenal, 2-0-3, 6 points. Crystal Palace 1-2-2, 5 points, 14th place. 15th, Southampton 0-4-1. They have yet to win, 4 points. Wolves 1-0-4, 3 points. Leeds 0-3-2, another team yet to win, 3 points. Newcastle, Burnley, and Norwich all stand in relegations. Newcastle with 2 points, Burnley with 1, and Norwich 0 points right now, 0-5 record. So 5 match days in. Obviously, Chelsea looking real good. Good for them. So is Liverpool. So is United. Obviously, we expect these teams to be up there. However, besides obviously the struggle that Norwich City is facing with having not even drawn or won a game, what are some other surprises that you guys are seeing so far through 5 match days in?
I mean, listen, I think Leeds is the biggest surprise of the season so far. Them not winning a game, especially with how great they were last year, I think is a huge surprise right now. I mean, 5 games in, I would expect them to have at least 2 wins under their belt. And then another one, honestly, I think the biggest surprise of the year has to be Brentford. I mean, there were not high hopes for Brentford for many of us when the season started. But they're 2-2-1 right now. They've looked good. They beat Arsenal, which is I mean, depending on where Arsenal is on the table, it doesn't seem like, but they beat a top 6 team in the league, which is great. And other than that, I mean, if you just look at their schedule, what they've done, the only team they lost to is Brighton. Brighton's been great right now. But you draw with Crystal Palace, you draw with Aston Villa, and you beat Wolves. And you had a red card in that game that you beat Wolves in too. So I think that's a big sign for them. I'm interested to see Saturday. They play Liverpool. Liverpool is a tough team. They're top 2 in the league right now. I think Brentford at home is a different animal. I'm curious to see how the environment is going to be. I can't wait to watch it personally because, Liverpool fan. But I think even as a soccer fan, if Brentford's for real, they're gonna give Liverpool the business here. They're gonna make Liverpool struggle if they're for real. If they're not for real, we're going to see Liverpool have a game. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how Brentford looks at home against another top 6 team that isn't Arsenal, the 6 out of the 6.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Andrew, what about you, sir?
I would put Brighton up there as one of my biggest surprises so far.
Tell me you didn't have Brighton in the top 4?
I did not personally. Their recent win over Leicester, I know Leicester have struggled, but I think most people would still say that they're probably one of the 5 or 6 best teams in England right now on paper.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think so?
I mean, if it's not for Casper Schmeichel, they would be a top 5, 6 team last couple of years, in my opinion.
Okay. I personally would say they're one of the top 5 or 6 teams in England. Although they have struggled so far this season. But yeah, Brighton, I mean, they're beating teams that they should be beating, I think, which is a difference from this season to last. If you look at their schedule so far, they've beaten Burnley, Watford, Brentford, and Leicester. They lost to Everton. But I think Brighton, there were signs last season with Graham Potter at the helm that Brighton was underachieving a little bit last year. And I think they're playing more up towards their potential this season. I think they're a very solid team, and I think Graham Potter is a good manager, and their schedule is probably going to get harder from this point, given that they haven't really played any of the big 4 big teams that we all talked about at the beginning of the season yet. But I think they've had a really good start and a really good 5 games to start their season, and they deserve to be up there in 4th right now.
Diego, before I go, can I list off their next 5 for Brighton?
Before you go?
No, before you go. I went. All right.
Yeah, you said before I go. That's why I was like, before you go.
Oh, I meant before you go. Sorry. The words came out of my mouth wrong, but the thought was there. They're on the road at Palace on Monday. Then they host Arsenal. They're at Norwich. They host Man City, and they're at Liverpool in their next 5. Not including the EFL game between Swansea on Wednesday, which I think Swansea has a chance to upset them there.
Liverpool, Man City back-to-back is tough for anyone. Yeah.
I think for me, actually, one of the surprises so far through 5 games, and I know somebody here is going to react, but it's actually Everton. I'm really thrilled with what I see out of Everton, man. I'm shocked in seeing that the players have kind of really just gotten to work with Rafa and just kind of hope for the best of this season and make it something that will be memorable. It's good to see people like, Demarai Gray step in and big time and contribute big time. Andros Townsend has been phenomenal. Pickford looks really comfortable in net. It's good to see his confidence back in place. Allen, Lucas Digne, Decore, they all look phenomenal. I mean, so far, just your record itself speaks volumes. 3-1-1, 10 points, with a manager that's been in Newcastle and other teams and hasn't really been that successful with them. It's really good to see him just kind of turn it around and be like, all right, what can we do here? I think the only thing that you guys really, really need to clear out of the way is the whole James Rodriguez situation. It's a lot of money that it's just sitting there doing no good whatsoever. It's unfortunate to see James's career basically just coming to an end very soon, because once he gets transferred to the next team, I think that's the end of it. At 30 years old, somebody that was supposed to be a big talent, just his attitude and his persona finally got enough to people where they're just like, dude, you're probably middle of the table kind of guy. We don't really need this kind of attitude in our club. Another person that I would think really needs to check himself before he wrecks himself is Richarlison. We've seen a couple of matches where his snippiness has been there, and not in a very good way, especially I think 2 matches ago against who was it?
Managed to go for Everton.
It was
Burnley.
No, it was against Leeds United. Actually, it was the penalty that Dominic Calvert-Lewin ended up taking because Seamus Coleman just basically was just like, dude, let him take it. Like, it's not always about you. Let him take it. He's the designed penalty taker anyways. Why you stepping in? This wasn't even your play to begin with. I think Everton in itself, honestly, has a very good team. I think we all had really low expectations for them because of the management style. I think if they continue this way or can at least do their best to keep this pace going, we could see Everton and then 6th place, maybe 7th. But honestly, if you're an Everton fan, I know Andrew's got a big smirk on him right now where he could just be smiling from ear to ear. If you're Everton, you've got to be happy with us. You have to be it, because honestly, your additions over the offseason have really paid off in big time. And these are people that are young and can still offer a lot to go for Everton, especially Demarai Gray. Like, I'm pissed that United didn't even keep him under the radar to begin with. 25 years old, really, really, really good player, very versatile, very, very talented guy. So
next 5 games for Everton: hosting Norwich, at Man United, hosting West Ham, hosting Watford, at Wolves. It's key
worth noting too that there's a couple different players who are going to be out for the next couple of weeks. Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison included. So didn't look good without those guys against Aston Villa on Saturday. So hopefully there's a bit of an improvement there. But overall, I would say I am happy with what I've seen from Rafa thus far. I've enjoyed his emphasis on commitment and intensity from his players. That was definitely something that was missing a little bit towards the end and under Carlo. But I would just be a touch careful about going too far too soon, I think, just because we saw something very similar last season where Everton were unstoppable at the beginning of the year, and right up there towards the top of the league, even into wintertime, I think, and then fell off significantly at the end. So I think
I think personally, just looking at the next 5 games for Everton, this is a possibility where Everton could easily go 3-2. I think you'll win against Norwich City, you'll tie against Manchester United, you'll tie against West Ham, you'll beat Watford, and you'll beat Wolves. That's what I think would happen. I think if there's a loss to take here, it's possibly Manchester United because of Ronaldo and you guys being out without Dominic Calvert-Lewin possibly. But other than that, I think that game could potentially end in a tie. United has not done well against teams that have that youth to begin with in the creative side of things, and you guys haven't. You've had Townsend, if you had Demar Gray in the same kind of wavelength, and those two have looked dangerous when they create chances, man. Very dangerous.
Yeah, Gray is a difference maker. I love the fact that we signed him for less than $2 million. But yeah, I think it's a good start, and Rafa definitely needed a good start, but I think we'll have to wait and see a little bit longer to really get a sense of where the season is going this year, I think.
Well, I mean, Alfred, let's be honest. Rafa Benitez always starts off hot. It's about how he plays in the middle of the season and how he closes that. I think we'll get the big eyes will be on him then.
That's fair. Yeah.
Any game this weekend that everybody's looking forward to watching?
Oh, I knew this kind of question was coming. Obviously, the game of the week, I think we can all agree, is Chelsea versus Manchester City. But me personally, I think one game that I'm actually looking forward to is the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham. 2 teams that are clearly struggling. Tottenham 3-0-2, Arsenal with a reverse record 2-0-3. I think it is imperative for Arteta here to get at least a draw, because if not, I think in the next 3 matches that he has, he could be seeing his job bye-bye.
I like the sound of that Crystal Palace Brighton game on Monday. I think both teams have started the season well. It's a rivalry game, 2 teams that do not like each other whatsoever. Brighton has had better results to this point in the season, but I think Crystal Palace have also played pretty well under new manager Patrick Vieira, and I've said it before, but they have a lot of exciting young attacking talent. So if they can keep working towards figuring out how to harness it all and get it all on the field at the same time, I think they could be another very exciting team. So I think that's an interesting matchup between 2 teams who have both started the season pretty well.
I think. I mean, I obviously already discussed Brentford and Liverpool just based off of if Brentford's legit or not. But I think realistically, another game I'm just kind of drawn to is Leeds and West Ham. I think Leeds is very much so underperformed so far to start off this campaign, and West Ham is one of those teams that you think is going to be legit. I mean, not for nothing, they're playing in the Europa League now, so I'm just looking at the matchup this week, and I think that's a tough matchup for West Ham. I mean, don't get me wrong here. They got bigger fish to fry, but I think Leeds is going to play them really tough. And playing at Ellen Road, I think, is going to be a tough draw for West Ham here.
Yeah,
I think Leeds has a chance to get their first win, but I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham sneaks in a win here as well, because Antonio should be back from his red card suspension, right? Because he missed last week, was it, with the red card?
I believe so.
Okay. So if that's the case, I think he's back. That's going to be a big help for West Ham, who they could have used him against Manchester United last weekend. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that game plays out.
All right. Any additional thoughts, Premier League wise?
Yeah, don't be surprised if Ole's just gonna not be the guy because I don't know, man. It's just I'm looking at it and every time I feel like Ole is getting himself going, there's always something that takes him 2 steps back. I just don't think he has the grasp of this position that people want him to have. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Glazers are looking the same way come by match day 3 of the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny you mentioned that because I was listening to another podcast this morning. Shout out to Vicar and Shill on Twitter. There was a question about, are you Ollie in or are you Ollie out? And basically what it comes down to is, at least for me as a fan, I think Ollie in for the potential of winning the Premier League, but I'm definitely Ollie out on the potential of winning the Champions League. We saw a meltdown in management happen when the Europa League final came across. Piss poor choices made at the last final 20 minutes when the game could have been transformed. It could have been transferred over. But Manchester United could have really had control of that game and made a couple of opportunities happen where they could have made the difference. And the choices made there was to bring in more defense instead of continuing the offensive attack. And that just shut down whatever dynamic Manchester United had going on for themselves before the reinforcements of people like Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho, and Cristiano Ronaldo. I think in addition to that, I don't think Ollie is the guy to take us to the Champions League title. You have a player who's won plenty of Champions Leagues before, in Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's going to come to a point where Ollie's going to be like, I'm the manager here, you're not. I'm the one that makes the decisions. And that's just going to tick off Ronaldo even more, which at the point that you tick off Ronaldo, the chemistry of that club will just go to the garbage can real fast. It happened at Juventus, and look at their current struggle in Serie A. It will happen for Manchester United. This is the way that Ollie's going to go forward with that. I think in addition to that, Ollie also has an additional problem coming up to him soon, and that is, how do you integrate Marcus Rashford into the game? The guy has been out due to injury, but now when he comes back, how are you going to incorporate him into your lineup, and how are you going to make the changes necessary so that when there is pace happening, you don't kill it? And that has been an issue for Ollie for all the past 3 years. It's going to continue to be an issue. And I just don't think he's going to be the guy to take us to the Champions League. I think if controversy came across and we hit a wall where losses would come and Champions League was in question, especially with Cristiano Ronaldo in the team, I think the Glazers could potentially be looking at somebody like Antonio Conte to come in and take over. I would be completely against Zinedine Zidane coming here. He would not be the right guy for this team. He will not be the right fit. There's a reason why Rafael Varane wanted out of Real Madrid far in advance before even Zidane left. There's a reason why Cristiano Ronaldo and Zinedine Zidane ended their relationship in a really bad spot, reportedly by many outlets. Zinedine Zidane is just not the guy for this team at all, and it would be 3 steps back. It would be literally going back to Louis van Gaal area, and you do not want this for this team that could literally thrive with the right management in place. But for me, like I said, for me personally, do I think Ollie could take us to a Premier League championship? Yes. Do I think Ollie's the guy to take us and get us a title Champions League wise? No, not with the continuation of his management decisions that he's made.
So I think that's where I think this team is going to be similar to how Chelsea looked last year. I think that they're going to want to be competitive, and in order to, they might have to, like you said, Antonio Conte would be an absolute signing. It would be up to the level of Chelsea getting Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah,
from last year. So just having like that dynamic, this is why I'm still more involved in Manchester United winning the Champions League this year, in my opinion. I think Chelsea has a grasp on the Premier League. I think they're going to, kind of like City did last year, but not to the extent of how they ran away with it. But I just think personally, Manchester United might be better off if they put their eggs in the basket in the Champions League right now, and it works out, you get a favorable matchup in the round of 16. But in order to do that, I do think Ole has to be out.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. Andrew, any additional comments onto the subject?
I don't think so. Nothing off the top of my head.
All right.
Last thing I will say is I want to give a round of applause. Diego, you'll join along with me as well. David De Gea finally saved the penalty. After how many years?
I will say, man, that David De Gea has looked really good this year. Really, really good this year for Manchester United. I just hope I don't jinx it. It happens every year. He starts really good, and all of a sudden, somewhere along the lines, it's all downhill from there, and it's worrisome. But anyways, let's jump over to the opposite side of the pond here, shall we? Because we got some excitement happening here locally wise. New England Revolution continue to be on top of the MLS. Great team, continue to just do their thing, and I really think the title's coming home finally. I just hope
it's still too early. Still too early.
I just hope they continue with this pace. But Taylor Twellman earlier today on Twitter quoted a potential of a new Revolution logo coming into place, which I know the Revolution has been working really close with their fan base to develop a new logo. They have engaged their fan base, got in touch with local aspects of things. They really want to create something that really speaks New England Revolution and that ties their fan base into things. Obviously, we've seen far more of a fan outing when it comes to Revolution games, especially at Gillette Stadium. It's not an ideal location at all for this Revs team, especially when majority of your fan base lives around the metropolitan Boston area. However, we've heard ins and outs here of far more excitement coming to our soccer here in New England. Starting off with Mr. Kraft requesting for far more games to take place, potentially either at Gillette Stadium or the ever so wished New England Revolution Stadium that we've been wanting for God knows what, maybe 5-10 years, maybe more so the past 3 years. But fellas, so with far more of a fan turnout happening lately, especially as this season has been so incredibly exciting for the Revolution. The rumors happening with Mr. Kraft requesting far more games to happen at the Revs home. The stadium talks have been going on for years. Do we really think that it's finally getting to that time where maybe a decision is going to be made potentially in the next 2 to 3 years here, where we may see the New England Revolution relocated?
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I think there's definitely a potential there, especially just in the fact of, they have so many areas around the Boston area that would be a great market to have a soccer team in and to have a location. So I think they have some ideas. They have some potential. They just need to capitalize on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, that logo that Taylor Twellman put up today, I think that's beautiful. If that's our new logo, if that's our new logo, I will love life.
So for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. And if you haven't, if you're not following us on YouTube, we'll repost it on our Twitter handle later on this week, which is @podcastcard on Twitter. for you to check it out and give us your thoughts on it.
You know what I think is funny
What's that?
about the New England Revolution is the fact that, Diego, you and I have been around longer than that franchise, but Andrew hasn't. And Andrew's probably the bigger fan out of the three of us.
Oh, I know it, which is crazy. Yeah.
I love it.
Andrew, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think with the momentum around the team right now, which makes sense that it comes with a successful on-field product, now would be a pretty good time to try and make that stadium move happen. I also think that if you asked me yes or no, are they getting a new stadium in the next couple of years? Right now, I would probably say no. I think Kraft, like you said, Diego, Kraft had FIFA come visit Gillette Stadium not too long ago to sort of check it out as a potential hosting spot for games at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which we all know is going to be played all across North America with Canada, US, and Mexico jointly hosting that World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to put myself in Kraft's shoes and FIFA says, yes, you can host games at Gillette if you do this, this, and this, it seems like it would probably make more sense from a financial perspective to make whatever changes are necessary at Gillette in order to have those games played there, because that would be a huge event to have World Cup games played at your stadium. That's not something that's a small deal by any stretch of the imagination. That would be big for Kraft, for New England, for the Revolution, and for Gillette Stadium. So if I'm trying to put myself in Kraft's shoes, I think I would probably try and do that as opposed to starting a whole new project in the next couple of years that could potentially not work out by 2026, and then you might lose those games. I think it would be good. I mean, fans have been asking for it for a long time. And I think it might help, like you guys have both said, if it's a more accessible area in Boston where there's more of an immediately local fan base, it might help with the team overall. But if you ask me right now, one way or the other in the next couple of years, I think I would probably say probably not. With regards to the logo, I think it's nice. The one downside, I think, is that with the crayon flag, you had really a unique identity. This one is kind of similar to a couple other MLS logos that have been rebranded lately, but I do actually like how it looks. I think it looks very clean with the R in the middle. And I think it would look good on a jersey or a hat too. So I'm certainly not opposed to this logo. And I mean, they've had the crayon flag for 25, 26 years now. So like Chris said, that's longer than I've been alive. You probably can't keep the same logo for forever, I guess. So it's got to change at some point. And I don't dislike how this one looks by any means. I think it looks nice and could be a very solid logo going forward. It'll be interesting to see when they actually do the rebrand. You kind of think maybe at the end of this season, given that it was FIFA originally, right? It was like a football ultimate team where they tweeted out MLS player ratings and they put this new logo on Carlos Heel's card. So that makes me think that if FIFA has it for FIFA 22, it's probably coming towards the end of this season. But yeah, I would. There's only so much that you can do with a logo on its own. I think it looks nice, but I'm excited to see how it looks on jerseys and what sort of jersey ideas they come up to go with it and complement it too, because I think it has some good potential there for some nice uniforms for sure.
Yep. Yep, I would agree. I think the idea of the new stadium happening, it's a phenomenal thought to have. Will it happen within the next 2 or 3 years? I probably would agree with you, Andrew. That's more than likely not to happen, just because the financials behind it just don't add up altogether, especially with needing far more of a turnout to happen frequently at Gillette in order for that investment money to actually kick in place. However, I think for the 2026 World Cup, though, if we want to have more games happening here in the New England region, you still kind of need to look into investing into building a new stadium anyways around New England, which comes back to the thought of we've been trying to build new areas for a potential Olympic village to happen. Boston was about 5-6 years ago in the runs of becoming a Olympic city, and just due to the lack of venues that we had, we just couldn't really move on to the next stages. But we've built a new training facility for the Celtics, a new training facility for the Bruins out in Alston. Why not have a new stadium happening within that area, within that Alston, Cambridge, maybe East Boston, Revere area? You have a lot of perimeter there to cover. And if you're really looking to have far more games here in New England, you kind of need to invest in that extra infrastructure anyways. I think in addition to that, with Gillette, you still have to do some improvements as well, because FIFA is going to require for it to be grass, especially as the AstroTurf here and Gillette is starting to become a little bit more beat up, obviously, because of football games happening, soccer games happening, or type of major events happening there. I think it's going to come down to a point where in the next 2 or 3 years, the Kraft family and the state are going to have to think of making that new infrastructure anyways. So I think it's just a matter of time, really, not anything else that the fans can do. I think in terms of the logo, though, I think it does speak a lot towards the fans. It's something that the Revolution have worked really hard for to make happen, and that is connect with the fans even more. They've done a tremendous job at that. I think the fan bases as like the Rebellion, the Outlaws, and all these guys, Midnight Riders, and all of them, they've done a phenomenal job as well at engaging more with the additional crowds as well, doing events such as a free tailgate or anything like that, like the one that I was honored to be invited by the Rebellion to go and DJ and make it fun for them. I think they're doing all the right things. I think the Revolution are really in a good stepping stone to continue to build the enthusiasm that there is for this team. I do think that in the next 2 or 3 years, the Revolution are probably going to be considered a major team here in Boston as they continue the way that they're going. It's just a matter of Mr. Kraft, Bruce Arena, whoever the next coach will be, or whatever their next opportunity is, to continue to keep an exciting team happening here around New England. Because when you look at up and down this roster, it's a very exciting team to have all together. But with that said, any last final thoughts before we wrap up the episode here, folks?
Make sure you rate and subscribe.
All right. So with that said,
episode
52 comes to an end now. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to check out the Couch Guys Sports YouTube channel. That's where you can find all of our episodes there. Make sure to check us out on Spotify. Make sure that you follow and turn on your notifications so you are aware the minute that the new episode comes out. Lastly, find us on Twitter @PodcastCard, and stay tuned for this weekend, because we'll be up to some action happening this weekend. Maybe some Twitch, maybe some who knows. Just some action. Just some action happening this weekend here for the Yellow Card Boys. But for now, episode 52 ends here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Andrew Grossman.